Hey, Labians, this is Carter. Hopefully having a great day. I'm having a great day. We're back today in lovely adventure of the tales because we're going to be going over the mighty katana. I'm going to give y'all a 1 to 30 guide along with showing y'all the cosmetic and the abilities. So if you have not already, please make sure you smash the like button, do the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Helps me out a lot. Really close to 50k. Like to hit it soon. Thank you. Okay. So first things first, katana. How do you get katana? Katana is the newest class that was introduced just yesterday when this video was coming out. And in order to unlock it, you do have to have level 20 in dagger and level 20 in sword and 2500 AO gems. So it can be quite expensive, but this is an advanced class. I will tell you, of the advanced classes, it is very fun to play. Does a good amount of DPS and is super, I would say almost easier to play than some of the other melee classes I've seen and played. I actually really enjoyed playing this. So let's kind of go over a broad view of the class. I've kind of briefly talked about this in the video that I started off with it. You basically start with Ninjutsu, which is, it's the starting ability for katana, which means your katana is sheathed, which is the position you see me in right now. If you open it up and you attack, your first 4 melee attacks within 3 seconds from the sheath position gain plus 25% weapon damage and an additional plus 100% crit damage and 75% attack speed. So yeah. And you're able to sheath your sword or your weapon within 2 seconds of not attacking anything. So general rule of thumb of when I was playing is I'd wait it go. It does this little animation where it puts it away. You see that little light that was in the middle of my back? I'll do it one more time and I'll kind of freeze it for you. When I would see that light, that generally meant that I had reset. And that means I would go and start attacking stuff. So it's really easy to look for, especially when you're playing and you're running around and you're killing stuff, because it's something you can kind of look for out of the corner of your eye. I found it is a really good marker in order to work with the class. So this class is very damage heavy and crit heavy. I honestly would not run attack speed with this class, and it is because of the innate ability that katana comes with. Now, the level 15 and level 30, these are going to be universal. We got that plus 10% mana regen, and we got that plus 5% crit damage. So you're going to be doing a lot of extra crit damage. Really good also just to get if you're doing melee classes in general. This is going to give you a lot of extra damage. Now, my big recommendations as far as spells when you're starting on off and skills, crit chance. Your rabbit foot is going to be your best friend until you get into the 20s. It's going to help you out a lot. Anything that also increases your damage. So bone necklace is going to give you this. You can use hand wraps until you get into the later stuff. That's perfectly fine. I did for a while. That's up to you. Now, one of the big abilities is battle leap. So the main ability for katana, and I will go over the skill scroll, don't worry, is you're going to do a charge forward and do damage to everything that you pass through. Well, this class is super mobile. So I'm going to let my ability recharge real quick, and I'm going to show you how mobile you can be because it's kind of ridiculous. I'm going to show you how mobile this class can be. I'm going to go ahead and do battle leap. This, and let's go ahead and, well, that failed. But as you can see, you can cover a great deal of distance with this class and do a lot of damage because the main ability is flash cut, which is you dash towards your enemies, dealing blank damage to all enemies you pass through. If you hit exactly one enemy, reduce the skull's cooldown by 36%, which is really nice because that means you can just hit one mob and then keep going. And this also counts as a normal attack, which means you're going to get the innate ability from katana, which means it will do extra damage. It'll have extra crit damage, so you can start getting some really insane level of critting. It's kind of nuts. Now, once you start getting into the later game, of course, the stuff you're going to be using is strictly up to you. I like Malefic Jar mostly because I wanted the weapon damage and I wanted the increased weapon damage and the movement speed. With this, I fly as soon as I start killing things. I am running through these dungeons, and it's actually really satisfying to use. I did use leather hand wraps until I was able to get up to weighted pummel, just because I wanted the weapon damage. And because you are so crit heavy, I would highly recommend using Thunderous Stone because 1, it's going to give you an increased crit chance, and 2, every time you do crit, you're going to be dealing extra damage to everything around you, which means you're going to be adding on top of your stack. That's kind of my preference. I actually am not running Phantom Plating on mine. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, you're not doing that. Well, I don't want to take damage. And since I am so crit focused, That's more of what I'm wanting, and the jars really help, especially with damage. Although I probably could switch that out, but right now the base weapon damage is a big thing for me. Now, if you are just wanting to see the damage real quick, let me go on over to this guy. So let's go ahead and do a battle leap. Let's go ahead and do this, and let's give it 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. About 18,000. We were averaging about 18 to 20,000 when I was testing with Dark Angel, which thank you, Dark Angel, for running. They were also leveling up Katana with me at the same time. So the latter half of my levels from about 18 to 30, I ended up running with them. But I will let y'all know, overall, it was very enjoyable to run. I didn't really have any issues, especially in Enchanted Forest. Was flying through Enchanted Forest. Like, we weren't struggling at all. The only time we started struggling was in Bandit's Castle, and that's just because they deal a lot of damage, and this class is squishy. This class is very squishy. I don't know why. For gear, of course, you're going to want to be running the melee stuff. You can always run the tank helms as you're leveling up to kind of give you a little extra defense. I would recommend this. It is pretty rough. One thing I would not recommend running with this class again, because I felt like it was a little bit squishier than others, is Burning Blood. Burning Blood, I know, adds a ton of DPS. However, not something I would recommend. You can run Combat Roll if you want to kind of add that extra distance, but Katana lacks AoE. So I really found the Battle Leap, which I really... That's a pitiful amount. I need to go get that leveled up. Battle Leap really helped just with mobility, and it kind of gave the class almost a one-handed weapon dual wield feel, and so it was really satisfying to play that way. So, but that's kind of my big tip with that one, is playing it like that. Now, I've gone over the skill scroll, which is 1,000 cuts. So what 1,000 cuts does is it unleashes your weapons to deal a fury of cuts that deal 282 damage to enemies 4 times. Now, I will tell y'all, I have seen this used, and from about, let's say this grassy knoll right here to about there, it will hit those targets. So it's a small cone. It's actually really nice. It does relatively about the same amount of damage when we were testing. So that's kind of, I feel like, dealer's choice. I personally like Flash Cut because I like the movement. I like being able to zip around the battlefield. It also is kind of like another dodge, so I can get out or whatever happen chance it needs to be. Now, I do want to go over, there actually is a cosmetic in the shop. I normally don't do this, but since this is a newer cosmetic, and I know some people are debating about if they want to use it, and it is the Molten Light. So that is currently the one that I have right now. So what I'm going to do is we're going to change that camera angle for y'all, which if you don't know how I'm doing this, if you merely just hit V, it locks your camera position. So you can do stuff like this. So I'm going to swing, and I'll slow this down for y'all so y'all can see the different stuff and what this blade actually looks like, because it looks really sick. It looks really sick. Now, the last thing I do want to talk about with the weapons is I did save everything from 1 all the way up. All the way up through all the levels. We do have Rotting Blade, which is the level 15, which does inflict bleed. So at level 15, you are going to be running with that. It's actually kind of nice, not going to lie. I did relatively enjoy when I had that one. The next one that is going to be different is going to be the Blooming Blade, which you get at level 24. If you're not realizing what level 24 is when you're going to be in the Enchanted Forest, which means you're dealing with at least one boss that is resistant to toxin, because that's what it does, is it delivers toxin. So kind of keep that in mind when you're playing with this one. That was kind of like the weird thing. I saw it drop for that zone. I'm like, that seems counterintuitive. Why would you do that? So this is the Renegade Blade. Let me go ahead and take off all my cosmetics I have for this. And there you go. So it actually looks really good. Overall, plays really well. Like I was saying, guys, this is one of those classes that I know you would enjoy. So if people do ask me, you know, I would be saying Polearm and Greatsword. Always 2 really good picks for melee for me. This is another one of those really good picks. Build-wise, again, it's always customizable, up to you. I would play around with some of the top tier items, and always getting some of the other 2-handed weapon classes and weapon damage classes up is going to help improve your damage. Labs, hopefully this was helpful in your lovely journey, and I'll see y'all next time. Boing!